What's going on, guys? It's Coach D. Hot question going around right now. Who should come off the bench, James Harden or Russell Westbrook? Now, everybody after the Memphis game, everybody on TV said, James Harden needs to go to the bench. James Harden, he sucks. He's just a crybaby. He needs to go to the bench. The Clippers didn't need to make the trade. They were good, and they were better without him. He destroyed the team. Everybody was on that after the Memphis game, after we lost that game to Memphis. There's basically been two main opinions that I've been seeing about this. There's really two stances that I've seen on it. The number one is that James Harden should go to the bench. And most people are saying that because the Clippers did start off 3-1. We had one of the highest rated offenses. And Russ, he does give you those intangibles. He gets offensive rebounds. He pushes the pace. He's going to give you effort, like defensively. And PG and Kawhi were playing really good alongside him. And like we said, the Clippers started off 3-1, so it just kind of seemed like, did they really need James Harden? So that's the first one. The second one is, the other opinion is that Russ should go to the bench because James Harden is better than him. A lot of people, especially people that don't like Russell Westbrook, they're saying Russ is washed. James Harden is light years better than him offensively right now. And so therefore, obviously, especially since Russ has been on the bench on other teams, you want James Harden to go ahead and start, and just kind of buy into him since we traded for him. Here's the thing, especially for the people that, have been talking about that start. We probably weren't as good as people are trying to make us out to be. Yes, we did start off 3-1. Yes, we did have one of the highest rated offenses, but it was against bad teams. Here are the teams that the Clippers beat when we went on that 3-1 start. We beat the Portland Trail Blazers, who are now 3-8. We beat the Spurs, who are now 3-8. We beat the Orlando Magic, who are 6-5, right? And then we lost to the Utah Jazz, who are now 4-7. And in that game, Russell Westbrook only had 4 points. So all that to say, we probably were not as good as people are trying to make us out to be. Oh, we were on our way to the finals. Nah, we probably were just as good as we were last year. And what is that? That's a, top, 5 team in the West when healthy and when firing on all cylinders. And probably a second round exit, to be honest. Even if we made it past the Lakers this year, even if we made it past the Suns, once we got to Denver, it was over with. If Kawhi and PG were healthy throughout that whole run, once we got to Denver, it would have been over with, right? So front office made a decision. They said, well, let's not roll the dice with PG and Kawhi staying healthy because once one of them go down, it's over. You're not winning the championship with just Paul George and Russell Westbrook or just Kawhi and Russell Westbrook. You're probably not going to win the championship with that alone. So instead of rolling the dice with that and seeing where that lands, because we've seen what that has gotten us, except for Russ, we just got him last year, but we've seen where that's gotten us these past few years. They said, let's go all in. Let's make a super team. Let's get James Harden. But here's why having James Harden is a good thing. Why the good part about having James Harden. Instead of being so reliant on PG and Kawhi to make shots and play great, which they are, right? You can now turn to James Harden and say, hey, maybe if Kawhi doesn't have it going, James, you step up. You step up and you score 25. Can James Harden score 25 points? He averaged 20 and 10 last year. Yes, he can be effective offensively against teams still. And so that's a great help. We're not so Kawhi and PG dependent, and if one of them goes down, to just throw the season in the trash. So that's great. That's a great reason to have James Harden. Now getting to the question, should Harden or should Russell Westbrook one of them go to the bench? They don't start with each other. I don't really think it's really a question. If you look at what the Clippers have been doing, we've been staggering. Ty Lue has been staggering the stars. So you have 4 stars. He's been putting Russell Westbrook and Paul George together, and he's been putting Kawhi Leonard and James Harden together. So you'll have minutes on the floor where it's just Paul George and just Russ, and you have minutes on the floor where it's just Kawhi and just James. And that's how he's kind of been teaming them up. And then, at the end of the game, all of them are on, and then he takes Russ off. Because of that, when PG and Russ, when they really get their minutes, they're getting their minutes at the end of the first quarter and the beginning of the second quarter. That's when the other team puts in their bench to give their real starters a rest. And that's when Paul George, he turns into, Chef Paul. Like, he be going crazy. Chef Paul RD. Like, he just be going crazy on other team, like, because they can't guard him. And so he'll just absolutely torch those teams. Him and Russell Westbrook, they'll just start getting the run-in and just go crazy. And that's happening during that bench rotation. And then it happens at the end of the third, beginning of the fourth quarter, where they just do that and they destroy the other team's bench. Like, I don't have the stats, but those minutes are our point differential probably during those minutes is crazy. So that is, like, really good. So if you put James Harden on the bench, say, no, let's put Russ and Paul George and force them to be with Kawhi, right, the majority of, let's say, the whole first quarter, right? And then when it's time for the bench to come on, let's just send out Harden. Well, now you're messing up a good thing, because PG is a better player than James Harden right now, so let him go ahead and kill the bench. And him and Harden and Kawhi have good chemistry together, so let them go ahead and have their time. I think the solution is that you need to emphasize Harden and Kawhi when it's their time. That when all the starters are on, it needs to be more James Harden and Kawhi focused. And just like that Dallas game, let Kawhi got to be one of the best first quarter players this year for sure. Like, that Dallas game and that Lakers game, Kawhi looked like unbelievable in the first quarter. Let him go ahead and kill teams in the first quarter, and let Paul George and Russell Westbrook kind of take a back seat. And then when the second quarter starts and that bench unit is in there, then Paul George and Russell Westbrook, let them get off. I think that's definitely the recipe that we need to go with. If somebody is supposed to go to the bench, like I said, Harden and Kawhi really need to be featured during that starter rotation, that first quarter, right? You really need to feature them heavy, and because of that, Russ should probably go to the bench for, in my opinion, I think it should be Terrence Mann, but Ty's been doing it for Norman Powell, which is fine, but that needs to happen early so that Harden can really optimize that pick and roll and can, create, and that way when he's been hitting Russ in the first quarter, teams are letting him shoot wide open threes. That shouldn't be happening. Have Russ on the bench so that Terrence Mann can take that wide open three, that Norman Powell can take that wide open three. Now, my vote is Terrence over Norman because Terrence plays better defense, and I do think that he can shoot just as good as Norman if he's in rhythm. Like, Terrence 1 year averaged like 39% from three. So he can, and I've seen him even these games, like, he'll hit some for sure if he's wide open. So I definitely think that needs to happen. But if I had to pick one, I would say that Russ, just because of the stagger fit. It's not because of who's better. You don't have to get your feelings involved. There's facts over feelings. Fact is we stagger. So therefore, Russ should stay with PG. And therefore, since it's Kawhi and Harden time at the beginning of the game, then he should come off and let somebody who can shoot and knock down those wide open passes from James Harden. You should have Russ on the bench and have a shooter in the game. One of the biggest things that is a blessing that with James Harden that I was alluding to earlier, we see that our offense, especially at the end of games, the Clippers go from the LA Clippers to the LA Fitness Fighters, man. Like, all of a sudden, at the end of the game, the last 4 minutes of the game, Paul George and Kawhi act like they're at LA Fitness. They're like, everybody get your phones out. It's game point. Like, I'm walking people down. ISO, step back midi. They just try to, like, ISO for the game. Like we at LA Fit. And it's just crazy to me, man. And I'm so sick and tired of seeing that. And the whole point of getting James Harden is that you have something else to do. You have something else that you could do. You can actually run a real offense. Let James Harden run pick and roll so that he can actually create for PG and Kawhi. You don't have to just go ISO one-on-one like we had, the Y or something like that. Like, we can actually run an offense. And we seen that at the end of the Nuggets game. I was sick. Like, y'all just jacking up shots, like ISO shots. Let James Harden go ahead and do his pick and roll, which is still really good. He's a really good pick and roll player, and surround him with the pieces so that that pick and roll will look really good, because teams still are like sagging heavy, helping heavy when James Harden runs pick and roll and he drives and he gets to the line. So I think that's the way. And I hope this was educational for all the people saying James Harden used to go to the bench, he sucks, we never needed him. Watch the vid. Hey, if you like the vid, make sure you like and subscribe. Be following the Clippers. I really believe in this team. I really feel like if we do the right staggering and we really emphasize the players when it's their time, we really could win a championship. And we picked up Daniel Theis. Picked him up, so I'm going to be looking forward to seeing him and what he could do. Let me know in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe. Be easy. Stay blessed.